Good evening, Blues. Everton 0-0 against Brentford today. It seems a familiar old story. Good morning, Chris. It's 1 a.m. there, isn't it?
Yeah, 1 a.m. It was so worth my time.
Yeah, long watch along for those that were able to stay awake during Everton's quest to try and break down Brentford. I think Ryan's going to be joining us live from Goodison Park in a minute. And if you've just kind of woken up, Everton yet again keeping a clean sheet, but yet again not breaking down an opposition, this time with 10 men. Obviously, the sending off could have been a big changing point in the game, Chris, but it wasn't. And in fact, Brentford were pretty strong. Despite Everton's territory, Brentford probably go away feeling that was a good point, whereas I think we feel like it's like, what do we need to do to win?
Well, yeah. For those who were watching before, I basically said like we could microwave, like the whole like hot knife through butter thing. We have no edge, no like outside of Beto. The last 20 minutes was hoping someone else to do the hard yards to get across the line, and it just felt tired, devoid of ideas, incompetence. But it's like it's not just Dyche. Dyche is absolutely accountable for this, but the players they should be willing to do the off ball running. Is Better the only one that hasn't been trained by Dyche to not look driven? And for those that have watched, there's a post already out from Everton saying like a good performance, but couldn't break them down. No, it wasn't. That was
Yeah, it was a copy of the match day
just
program, wasn't it? It was like, who is
suck
doing these?
ups.
Who is
Like,
doing
do you
these
not feel
posts?
the crowd? Like, no, that's not an acceptable result.
Yeah, they spin it
That's
any
now
way
I
they
go to
want,
sleep.
and we want your views on Follow Everton. Maybe it's a step up on where we were. At least we're keeping clean sheets. Pickford is I think that's his fifth for an Everton in the season, but we keep having this situation time and time again where I don't know what work goes on the training ground, Chris, but we just can't break down sides, and it's the theme du jour every single bloody game. And I think for that reason, I think Ryan might be outside Goodison fuming. Let's see if we can get him in. Ryan, are you there? We'll give it a few more minutes. It can be quite difficult to get signal outside Goodison. This is one of the things that I do hope will improve at Bramley Moor Dock. But we'll see if we can get Ryan back on in a minute. But yeah, I mean, look, we can go back through the game, Chris, but essentially Brentford probably had the clear-cut chances in the first half, despite Everton's kind of territory and kind of general possession. How would you summarize the way that the Blues started the game, and if you can still stay awake to kind of give us a verdict?
So I'll give a quick recap. I think TJ Med probably described it best. Everton, oddly enough, the first 10 to 15 minutes we were progressive, early crosses. We looked dangerous. We were in the channels. We were challenging, winning the ball back. Brentford were giving the ball away a lot early on. They were playing from the back and were really sloppy. So there was every chance that this game was there for the taking. And then it just kind of flattened and flattened. Both teams couldn't keep hold of the ball. And all of a sudden, there was a few chances where like Ethan Pinnock was winning the ball back post. There was a Pickford had to make a couple key saves, and the biggest save he did was hopefully he saved his right knee after getting a studs up challenge from, was it Christian Norgard, the
Yeah,
captain?
it's the same guy who got sent off, right?
Yeah, that guy.
Norgard.
So and right in that moment, they've got their captain off. They're furious. We had 5 minutes before the break to do something, and we just didn't. Then they decided to reset, play a low block, and Burma basically didn't even try to go forward. They have a left back that isn't a left back. He's a left winger. You didn't challenge him because you couldn't keep possession on that side and just give the ball away the whole time. And you're like, how did that team that never gives up a goal have a left winger as a left back, and they're down to 10 men, and we We shot like 25 shots and hardly really tested the keeper.
Yeah, it's like same old, really. I mean, if you look at the stats for Everton, the stats have been pretty much the same. Lots and lots of chances, more chances than the last couple of seasons, but yeah, just can't break them down. We find ourselves in good spaces, but I'm not sure whether Ryan can get in. But Basil's here. Basil, evening. It's pretty much the same story every single week. This could be another game. We could save this down as an MP4 and re-upload it for a future game.
Yeah, disappointingly, yes. Unfortunately, you're right there.
You're a bit quiet there.
Hello?
Yeah, better.
You're getting there.
I got to speak right into the mic for some reason.
There you go.
It's the same as it's the same old, unfortunately. I think the difference today is obviously the game changes halfway, and you've just alluded to it with the red card, and it's how Everton react to that red card in the second half. Unfortunately, we just didn't see the reaction we wanted. To be honest, I fell asleep for 10 minutes because Everton just didn't kick on in that second half, and it was so boring. I think the first half is where we had all our chances. We had some quite decent opportunities in that first half, and we kind of just squandered them, hoping we get another one. But that second half, there was nothing, and we couldn't beat a team who had 10 men who play on the counter attack. We just couldn't break them down. Just didn't have the quality to get through them. Out of ideas, let's hopeful balls, play it back and forward, down the side. Let's have a shot from distance. And it is frustrating to watch Everton fans because it's not getting any better. So what can you do?
Where do we go from here? I mean, why is it that this happens again and again and that we're not doing anything about it? Or do you think that we are doing something about it? I mean, this time was slightly different. I was at the West Ham game, and obviously there were moans and groans in the stand when Beto did not replace Lindstrom, who was having an absolute stinker of a game. This time he did. So why could we still not break them down? Is it just a question of today it was the 10 men effect and Brentford are a better side than West Ham right now? Or is it just a recurring issue that sides finding us easy to kind of work out? What do you think, David, we can do? Is there anything we can do with this squad?
Well, it is fairly easy to play against us because you just defend and put that block in, and we more than likely won't get through you. And Brentford knew about the set pieces. They were practicing them on warm-up, so they were prepared for that bit, and we didn't really create anything from set pieces. The quality of our Everton's deliveries is really poor, and it was so poor that McNeil had to play left wing in the second half. McNeil's been influential from playing in the midfield, and we had to make that tactical switch because Mikalenko can't put the ball in. Why we got a left back who cannot attack that flank, and against the Brentford team who have got 10 men, you're not looking at it tactically thinking, what can we do? Well, let's put Ashley Young at left back. Let's get Patterson on. Let's get some attacking fullbacks on, because Brentford are just playing on the counter attack. So having 4 at the back, stationary, or 4 that can't attack, that are on the pitch just to defend that. They're not even there on the counter attacks because they're trying to help with the attack. They're just not capable. So why don't you tactically switch your players up? And ultimately, the 2 up front was probably the right decision. I thought we would do that, but probably too late.
So
yeah, I mean, why don't you make Chris? Why didn't you make the change at half time?
The change being for Lindstrom, or what change in particular? Because there's a lot.
Beto for Lindstrom.
Because at that point, DCL and Beto struggled to play together. The second Beto came on, DCL became anonymous. To me, I don't think the problem at that point was like Lindstrom in the start of the second half was actually okay. There was a few good interchanges on that right side. You're talking about the challenge though of were people stationary when Everton moved the wingers around the entire match, and just Dwight McNeil was terrible today. Like we keep giving it away to him. He was slow to release, overhit every cross, it felt. And yes, we can say Mikalenko needed to be more advanced, but let's be honest, he was actually making runs for the first time in a while and hitting it first time early in that match. It was really exciting to watch. Yes, he slowed down, but expecting Mikalenko to be the difference maker, not Iliman and Jai, not Dwight McNeil, not a lot of these other players. I think that's also yes, we want to have a better left back, but that shouldn't. Everyone else on that pitch is more creatively capable in many respects.
Are we expecting too much of Lindstrom at this point? Is it a question that we're getting on his back a bit too early? He hasn't scored for something like 70 games, by the way. I'm not expecting him to hit the back of the net, but if that was McNeil, you would be questioning it. Anyway, Ryan's outside the ground, live from Goodison. Ryan, can you hear us?
I can hear and see.
I mean, when you're at the game, it's always that much more intense, more frustrating, more upsetting, more annoying. It's the same old. I don't know whether you caught it, but I was just saying we could just save this video and upload it for the rest of the season, and it would be pretty much the same old over and over again. We had 27 shots this game. Why do you think we can't break sides down?
I can't remember.
Why
Everton one shot?
Why are we not entering the National Hockey League in Canada?
Not a good shot, Ryan. They're all
Ghana gay shots from distance.
Yeah, I mean, it's the wrong person in the right position. But where are you? Go on, just tell me how it is.
First of all, Chris, I love your setup with the green screen. I'm assuming that isn't an actual physical green screen, but
as if there are rainbows coming out of Goodison, Ryan. Come on, you must be dreaming. I thought you were fuming, not dreaming.
That's fantastic.
So, right, just tell us a little bit about the game and how it ended. Was it a toxic atmosphere at the end? I know that there were complaints at halftime from the Brentford players, but obviously being at home with games at Goodison running out and Everton going into this December period where our fixtures are not going to be kind to us, let's put it that way. And there are no easy games, but Brentford at home with 10 men, and still we come out with the same bloody result. What is going on?
Do you want a composed professional answer, or do you want Evertonian?
No, I just go for leather because
please go for it, Ryan. I'm really hoping someone shows more venom. I want your vigor right now because I want to feel it. Please.
I can give you the analysis, but the bottom line is we were fucking shite. That is the bottom line. Every cross is overhit. Every pass is underhit. Every touch is too heavy. Reluctant and slow and lethargic. And the only fucking 5 minutes we had that was good was the 5 minutes at the start of the game where we pinned on Brentford. We turned them over and we made it horrible. And for about 3 or 4 minutes at the end of the half, when we actually thought, oh, they've got 10 men. Let's play it as wide, as early as possible and keep switching and moving Brentford over side to side and waiting for an opportunity. And that is how you play against 10 men. But what we saw in that 49 minutes in that second half was not how you play against 10 men. We were still doing the same things you do against 11, which was a long, stupid punt ball down field and these stupid balls into the channel. And it was just nauseating. And I've seen enough now. I think we played 12 games. We've won 2. We can't score half the time. We never look like scoring. You said we had 26 shots. I can't recall one shot.
I think.
I can't recall a single shot. I don't think we tested that goalkeeper the whole game. And you're right. What you touched on, you said that the ball is always falling to the wrong players. It is. And that's Dyche again. He put Ndiaye up front, and then all the creativity was sapped out the team because every cross, everything is coming from Mikalenko, who he's rubbish. I'm sorry, he's rubbish. I've been saying it for years. Players who can't cross a ball, players who can't create. The players who had the ball to make something happen were Garnagay, Decore, who was an absolute donkey in the middle, the 2 fullbacks who couldn't pass wind, and then the wingers who were just ineffective. I mean, that Lindstrom can't do anything. He couldn't run past the kid. And on the other side, McNeil, what is he doing? What is he actually doing? I'm sick of him. And I've just wasted 90 minutes and I shouldn't have gone to that match.
That's why I didn't go to that match, Ryan. I saw the writing on the wall.
I thought we'd lose 3-1 today. I thought Dyche did an incredible job getting the point. And you're like, no. Stop blowing smoke, Everton Football Club.
We should have lost. They went through 1-on-1 against Pickford. Pickford saved it about 34 minutes in, something like that. And we were sleepwalking, and Brentford's position was all over the place. Then there was another one when they had the 10 men. I was saying to the guy next to me, I said, it doesn't matter, they got 10 men. We're playing like we've got 7 men. And I don't think we could break them down even if they had 3 men on the pitch and they were all OAPs. It was 2 really good chances from Brentford, and they should have won. They were the better team. Let's hold our hands up. Their fans were knobheads. They were singing "Feed the Scousers" and all that rubbish. We pay your benefits.
You get that
But they were
around
the
this time of year.
better team. They were the better team, Brentford, and they deserved their point. They deserved 3 points, and I don't know how much longer we're going to persist. The problem is that the manager's got a free pass because he's all lovey-dovey with Thelwell, who's also got a free pass. And I bet you at the end of the season, both of them will have the P45s in, but nothing's going to happen until then. They're just going to put us through this. And the fixtures aren't going to get any better. So you might as well, guys, if you go in the match, you might as well sell your tickets now.
Yeah, and then in case you've not looked at them, it's not Chelsea. We've got Man U, we've got Liverpool, we've got City, we've got them all. I mean, yeah, they're all going through purple strange patches. Probably the derby's the hardest of the lot, but I think the fact that it's the last Goodison derby might help us a little bit. Well, Ryan, it's good to have you on. It's just I think that having almost fallen asleep at West Ham 0-0 today was just like how many times do we need to keep doing this? I've got the stats here, and just to support what we were saying, Everton did have more possession overall, but you would think that it was very 50-50 at halftime, and obviously the sending off really changed the dynamics. But to be honest, it doesn't tell you all the story because Brentford had clear-cut chances, and although they didn't have the big ones, this doesn't quite tell the full story if you just look at it on the stats. So Everton probably for the first time this season having close to 60% of the possession, and I just don't think we're a good possession side. I think we're better without the ball. We're probably better when we're kind of playing a bit of a low block and counter, if you're asking me. But this is ridiculous. 27 attempts, and yet we're not breaking.
This just shows you everything you need to know. We've had a lot of shots and we've had a lot of possession. All of the possessions in the wrong areas. We didn't get in the Brentford box. Probably the XG was very low. The chances were poor quality chances. They were all like, oh, I'll hit you the back post, 3 yards behind the player at the back post. He'll try and recover it and launch it over. There was nothing actual deliberate in what we were trying to do. The block shot says we're either shooting too soon, we're not working the opportunities well enough before shooting. We're just hitting it at them. And then the shots off target is just pure, wasteful, useless, poor finishing. Dwight McNeil, Calvert-Lewin, all of them should have scored in that first half. And the Brentford's 2 shots were more dangerous than Everton's 27.
Yeah. Can't get it wrong. I mean, you can't argue against that. I've put both lineups here because I'm sure
that formation's shite. It's a shit formation.
Yeah,
you got Decore in the midfield. It's Decore in the midfield. It just doesn't work. You leave yourself so exposed. You leave yourself outnumbered, and then he's wandering off like someone's offered him a free takeaway or something, and he's going over to the left, he hasn't got a brain. There's nothing in that skull of his. I'm sorry.
Do you think that Everton are starting to lose belief that they're going to break down sides? Do you think that's part of the problem?
They stopped playing, by the way. The fans had given up. I think about 4, 5, 6 minutes into the second half, I could have lumped some money on 0-0 because we never looked like scoring, and you could see the body language of the players, the atmosphere around the ground, the anger, the toxicity that was there, and it only got worse and worse. And as we got to about 75 minutes, we just thought, fuck this, we're not going to score. And the angry fans and going, show it, Dice, sort it. You've got.
They're all going for Dice now, aren't they? Where is my? Sorry, where is that? I normally put it up here. There you go. That'll wake everyone up.
He's not the man.
He's not the man now. He's finished.
I think everyone's getting at Dice now. We're fortunate in that there are some very bad sides in the league right now. Obviously, Forest are proving that they're a slightly better side than they were last season, to say the least. But this is not going to last very long before I think that they'll want to take him out because they won't want to go in that stadium.
He's going to get sacked. He'll get
Assuming we
sacked after
survive.
this December run.
Yeah, I think, 100%. Right, going back to the lineups while I've got them up here. So what do you do? It's got to be, the problem has to be going forward, surely, because we've kept 2 clean sheets. Yes, we were very lucky. Pickford came to the rescue. Every single bloody game, he comes to the rescue. But what is going on here? What do you do to break down sides so that we actually look fluid? I know you can't plan for playing against 10 men. I'm sure they do training drills of similar effect. But you mentioned Decore. So you take him out because he just doesn't work in this setup. He needs to be playing presumably where McNeil is on this lineup.
I won't play him anywhere. The comments are great, by the way.
Well, I think he's on his way out, to be honest with you, if I'm being honest. Basil, what do you think? Decore, what did you do with him? Take him out?
Well, he's not really a holding midfielder, and he's not cut it as a number 10 in recent weeks. And I think McNeil's proven that he creates goals and assists from that position, even though he's not really an actual number 10. But at Everton this season, he's got 6 of the goals and assists out of 10 goals. So you move McNeil out, you're basically not got any creativity or quality. And that was my concern with moving him out to the left. I mean, when Everton come down to playing a team where they've got to break them down, it comes down to whether Andai can skin 3 men and put the ball in the net, which he obviously doesn't have the finishing product for it. He can go past people. Or whether McNeil gets a lucky thing and he just like shoots it in from distance. He didn't have his best shooting boots on today, McNeil. He had great chances on the edge of the box where he'd get away from a man, he cut in. And there was one where he was on his right foot and he blazed it over, and it was quite a good position. And it was just one of those. He wasn't going to score today. So what do you do in game situation? I don't know. But that Brentford team's on the screen now. Norgard got sent off. That means there was 2 of them in the midfield, but it didn't feel any different second half. It didn't feel like we were playing against 10 men to me. I felt like it was the same game. It just Everton had regressed. They started the game really well, really aggressive. Like they knew they had to win this game because of the tough run coming up. And it just, as Ryan said, things just got worse and worse. And you can imagine, well, I can imagine how it was in the crowd. The atmosphere was probably getting bitter and bitter, and that makes things worse and worse. And eventually it just got so stale that we were never going to win the game. Frustrating.
I mean, you couldn't.
Is Dele Alli anywhere near to be seen? Because he'd be the one, if he was fit, that I'd say you want him on the bench, because if you could put him on in a game like this.
Well, I don't know about Dele Alli, but I think Broja
might. This guy's done nothing for 6 years. This guy's done nothing for 6 years. He's not played football for 18 months. And we're talking about Dele Alli. Let's talk about the 11 players
we've
got. Yeah. He's better on Sky Sports than he is at football at this point.
I think we're clutching at straws now if we're thinking about Dele Alli.
We haven't got any options.
Stop fucking speaking about Dele Alli. Let's speak about these 11 crabs and let's analyse this. By the way, comments are amazing. Thank you so much.
We'll get to the comments in a minute. Thanks. Keep them coming in. Wormy, Johnny,
every single comment, but it's very,
Jim,
very
Tony.
clear.
There's a lot of people watching.
Customers and viewers that they are not happy with Sean Dyche and they are fed up. But let's look at the teams there, right? So what was the tactics? What were we trying to do? Lindstrom will make an inside movement, which will trigger Young to go wide right. Okay, that's how genius we are. And Ndiaye does the same thing on the left. Branthwaite stepped forward into the gay position. He was very, very advanced. If you look at his position, even 11v11, and then Mikolenko would go and offer himself as the left back. He was effectively left wing back for the full 90 minutes. The problem is when the player with the space is the one without the quality, that's where the issue is. And I said to someone next to me, how about Young goes to left back and we get a right back on who's a bit more dynamic, who's going to go in that line, in that channel and whip a proper crossing. And I don't know who was on the bench, but that would have made more sense to me, because if it's always Mikolenko and Young. And also, I don't think what we identified was Brentford were leaving the back post empty, but we were still overhitting it by 5-6 yards. We weren't putting it in the right position on the back post, a bit like teams have done to us. If we'd have said to the two idiot clown strikers, one of you go on the back post because we're going to hit it right on that full back, and because you're 6'5" and he's 5'1", you're going to out jump him and nod it in the goal. Instead, we have the two of them like Calamity, the Chuckle Brothers up top, in each other's way, and no one's able to bring the ball down and actually do anything with it. So this is all on Dyche, 100% on Dyche. He was the one who put these players out. He was the one who didn't recognise it. And if I can see it and I know nothing about football, then there's something seriously wrong, because he's sleepwalking and he's arrogant and he's horrible and he's vile. Get rid. Makes me sick.
No, I think it was the first thing I said, Ryan, when I came on just before you came on, that Mikalenko shouldn't have been there. He should have really been taken off at half time and so put some call. I mean, Young hasn't
put
really
McNeil there. You've got an extra man. Just put him out on the left and just flip crosses and
put McNeil there,
to the 10 and bring Mangala in.
Yeah, possibly. I think Ashley Young at right back. I mean, he's proven in the last time Everton got points at home, was it the last minute equaliser, and he put that cross in, which was a nice cross, and he did another one today, but Beto should have scored it. It was near the end of the game, it was right on his head, and he just blazed it over. How he can't force the players to put them in.
It's hard watching Everton.
Pitiful, isn't it? Pitiful. And I've been and sat through worse matches than that, and I felt worse. The problem is, it's not going to change. I've not seen anything that makes me think that's going to improve the style of football or the results. Which is why I'm come to the conclusion, officially, my view is that Sean Dyche should be relieved of his duties this evening.
I think.
Look at those
just picking up on that. I think that he'll go after this lot that I've just been typing up. So
go before.
The Forest fixture obviously looked like the easiest, but now looks like a bloody difficult fixture. Actually, it's away from home. It is at home, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Let's face it. Wherever it is,
games.
There's plenty of home games, but the crowd are going to start getting on his back after this lot, because we're not. I don't think we're getting more than 4 points from this December month, guys. Where are your points coming from,
I don't
Chris?
think we'll get 4 points. None of them.
I think before Wolves started picking up, I thought they might be the only chance for a win in this entire fixture. I didn't even think we'd beat Brentford. I thought we'd get maybe you sneak a point against Forest, because somehow we get points against Forest with Dyche in the past, but that's about it. Maybe a random draw that's unexpected, but really I'm thinking we get 3 points, maybe 4, and that seems optimistic at this point in this period, and that's a lot of matches. That's 5 points in 8 games, and then we'll probably be 18th or 19th by that point.
We shouldn't be complaining.
You said, Stevie, there's worse teams than us, but I mean, let's just look for a second. Are there? I mean, I've just looked at the table 10 minutes ago, and we're only 3 points away from being in the relegation.
Ipswich, Southampton are all equal.
Well, here's the table.
Zone in 3 games.
I knew we would come on to this.
Ipswich won. Ipswich won.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last week against Spurs.
Oh.
They beat Spurs.
Wolves won. They're going to be well out of it soon, and we'll probably.
They won 4-1 against Fulham or something.
Is it some sort of we start the season with those 4 defeats, and we've done okay, and now we're kind of on a bit of a let's just draw every game and not break everyone down. So are we sugarcoating the situation? Should Dyche really be removed now? Because I don't think it's going to get any better. I think we're going to be in February before we start picking up points again. And I can see us getting dragged into the bottom 3.
Does 36 points keep you up? Because I think we're looking at 36, 35 points at the moment.
Yeah, it's a point a game, thereabouts.
I take Moyes back right now.
If you think about Everton, it's lost, win, 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 drawn, lost, drawn. We just go through the same stuff all the time. This does highlight that Brentford are, proportionally better than us. They were a better side. They started the match 7th. But also,
were they?
Yeah, they started. Yeah, they're not Southampton, but if this is Southampton, then
They're
it's gotta
great at
go.
home and shit away.
Mm.
See, for some reason, I had in my head that Brentford were in the bottom sort of plethora. They've got 17
No.
points, so they've got 6 more points than us, which means they're a better team. They've won 5 games. We've only won 2. So, you can see why. They defended the box very well. They were very aggressive. They looked a threat on the counter. They had opportunities. They're a decent team. It's the fact that we drew at Leicester. We beat Palace, yes, and we beat Ipswich, but we couldn't beat Southampton. We lost to them. We couldn't beat West Ham. We crumble against Bournemouth. We're rubbish against everyone, pretty much.
We have to beat
even
Wolves now. We have to beat Wolves. There like isn't any option, because if we don't get anything from Wolves, we go into this derby and Arsenal and Chelsea and City, and it's
don't even just
Maybe-
close
maybe-
down the channel for those matches, because there's just no point. Just re-upload an old video, and we won't even say the name of the team. We'll just say, "Oh, Everton lost again today, and it was terrible, and the goals that were conceded were terrible," and we'll just re-upload the same video. We won't say it's Arsenal or Liverpool, and it was terrible, and it was so bad, and yeah, that chance we had on the wing, and it was just like, why are we wasting our time talking about this? It's been 4 years. 4 years of the same garbage.
If Everton was a game of chess, every game would be a pawn moved or a piece taken. There's just no progress. If you just joined us, maybe you're coming out on Queen's Drive, maybe you're back home by now, actually. I'm sure the people were fed up and left early. But Everton obviously drawing 0-0 yet again. Pickford making saves. Everton not breaking down the opposition. Lots more possession this time because of the sending off. What we want, I think it's probably about time, guys. We went through some of the comments because, everyone's entitled to have their say, really. I think you were right earlier, Chris. Tim had said that the first 10 minutes was kind of the peak, and then it started to go downhill. But that's the same for every game that you get really up for it. Zcast comes out, you start thinking that something magical is going to happen, and then you realize that you're actually better off watching paint dry. There are plenty of comments.
I've got a comment on this.
Go on.
I've got a point on this because
this is apt, isn't it?
The point I was going to make was
minutes,
that is a theme. Sorry, did my signal go?
No, it's fine.
I was just saying that happens every single match. We come out all guns blazing. The crowd are a bit up for it. The players go and press. They go and excite. And then we fluff 2, 3, 4 chances where we should score, like the Calvert-Lewin one, like the McNeil one. And then everyone goes a bit flat. The crowd like, oh, fuck's sake, same again. The away team realise they have to slow the game down, time waste, settle, and cause problems. And then it all goes and falls apart. And we have 10 good minutes every match.
It could make a soap opera.
The only thing that surprised me was that Brentford didn't score on the 85th minute on a breakaway. I think that would have been the icing on the cake.
Well, if that had happened, then, if you think we're fuming now, then there would be another uprising. But it's almost like we're becoming a bit numb to this, and we're accepting the fact that we're a kind of status quo club that relies on its goalie. Eventually, Pickford is going to move on because he'll realise he's not going to win more than a throw-in at Everton. And there's lots of people on the comments saying that Dyche is on his last legs. And Roy was a bit earlier when he commented to say that he reckons that a new manager's on the horizon. I mean, surely if you're investing in our club and you watch the marketing mix used to be product, place, price, promotion. Now there's other things like physical evidence and all that. But if they're looking at the product that's going on the pitch, they've got the right location, but they haven't got the right product. And they've just got to, then you would say you've got to look at the product. And that's Dyche, unfortunately, because he's not got an identity of play. There's no plan B. There's no plan C. It's the same every game. He's done quite well.
Though.
He steadied the ship, and he's done what he needed to do.
We did have a plan. Steve, it's fallen apart. He's not doing what he was doing before, which was pinning on opposition man to man, forcing them to make mistakes, nicking the ball back up high up the pitch on the transition and scoring off it and winning the set pieces. We're not doing those things anymore. It's the
only in the first 10 minutes.
Long ball into the channel for no one.
So I have one question. For you guys, and then I might leave you guys to it. So when was the last time that Brentford kept a clean sheet in the league? Before today. Was it this season or last?
We'll look that one up. I'm sure someone will probably comment before.
So I just did because I've been. It was against Fulham on a 0-0 draw on like April 5th, I think it was.
This year.
It's been of this year. So we're talking, what's it, like 15 or more matches in the league without
clean sheet in 7 months.
Yep. And you know how that happened today? They kept a clean sheet against an away when they've got no wins this season away. So they always concede.
No points away.
And I think they may have had one draw, but basically nothing. Keane Lewis Potter, a left winger, hybrid shoved into left back. Their captain down to 10 men, and we hardly got a shot on target against these guys. That is unacceptable. Something needs to happen, and if that's Dyche, fine. And that's about all I've got.
We'll get the odds on Dyche being removed. I think the fact that Everton picked up a point just kind of saves him. If Everton have lost today, especially with 10 men, then I think that it would be kind of... We're almost waiting for ourselves to lose against this lot. If you just joined us and you missed this earlier, this is December. This is your December. If you haven't got something planned, then plan it now, because it's not going to be an advent calendar. Well, it's going to be an advent calendar of where you open each window.
It's not chocolate in those advent calendars, ladies and gentlemen.
And what you're going to find is the ball in the back of the net every time, because I think that this is when we're going to get exposed. Man U next week. I mean, guys, are we thinking we're going to get anything there?
Well, we'll see how the new manager bounce works at United, but no, I think we get maybe 3 points before Christmas. I'm going to head off because I'm
Chris, thanks so much.
Sleep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. Everton are a replacement for Zoplicone, if you know that. That's a sleeping pill. All right, cheers, Chris. So it's just the two of us. Maybe we should talk about the Hamilton musical that we went to on Wednesday, because that was definitely less confusing, and that's saying everything, I think. Goodison Blues, thanks for your comment. Dyche settling for a good draw every game, kind of alluding to what we've just said. It's pretty much... you go see Everton. I mean, I suppose at least we're not losing every game. And that's the only positive. It feels like a defeat, though, doesn't it? When you're at home and you've got 10 men for 45 minutes, the sending off comes at a good time, I think, for us. And yet we do nothing, really.
I think you feel less worked up because you're not at the ground. I think if I was at the ground, I'd be ultra frustrated right now. And I'd be angry like Ryan is. I think because we're slightly detached from it, and we've seen it before, so we're a bit more calm. We're watching it on a stream, which is bitty as well. So unfortunately, we've just come to accept it. But I think the Dyche thing, he's not going anywhere. You three seem to be thinking he's got to go out. My head's in the game, and I don't see him moving, because we're not losing games. We're above the relegation zone. We've got a new stadium to move into. This is not the time to be taking risks and to be unstabilizing things. And I just don't see them making that move until the owners are in. But that's just my personal opinion. Unless he loses all these fixtures, which is quite possible. But it won't happen till after December. It'll happen once we've lost all those games.
Yeah, I think he's in it for December. And there's no real cause except for West Ham, where one of the worst teams I've seen in the Premier League at home. So as an away fan going to that match, I couldn't get over how bad West Ham were. I don't think I've been at an away match where I've thought, they're really awful, aren't they?
Much control of the game.
And yet we took nothing from that, really. I mean, yes, the draw came only about really because Pickford made an absolute worldly right at the end. But there's a lot of people. Look, I think that we're probably going to give December a good shot, and I think we're just going to come unstuck. I think what will probably happen is we'll be unlucky. We'll put in good performances. We'll look decent at some of the time, but we'll probably not pick up much because the class will shine through. And the only saving grace is that everyone's got lots of fixtures, and that might mean that they're having to rotate squads, and potentially there could be a bogey game in there where we maybe get something that we don't expect, possibly Chelsea, although that's not a given. Forest is no longer a given. We might be under a lot of pressure by then. We could get a point from the derby. You never know. We won last year. We weren't expecting. It's just all going to be very frustrating. I mean, at least we can enjoy 6 more days of November where we're not getting smashed by all these teams.
We beat Brentford and we lost. We drew with Brighton at home and we lost. I look at the fixtures by comparison of last season. We are worse in every match.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was a calculation done to look at the aggregate fixtures, and we've had the easiest fixtures. Tazil says only 2 wins out of 12, horrendous. That says it all, doesn't it? You would have taken that on the 5th game, though. You would have said after 5 games, if you told me that we're going to win 2 out of 12, I would have taken the 2 wins because that's probably better.
I'm going to say before I go, and I'm going to try and just be slightly more optimistic and rational and not the fan TV person from before. Is that in those games that are upcoming, you probably do want a backs to the wall defensive manager. We're not going to have much of the ball. In fact, we probably won't have a sniff in a lot of those games. And so, defensively, if we can focus on clean sheets and then trying to impact the game without the ball, rather than on all these matches where Brentford, Fulham, we're expected to do stuff, to dominate and win, which we're incapable of. So maybe if we're not expected to do anything and we just turn up, we've got 10 men behind the ball and die ready to break with McNeil, and I wouldn't bother with Calvert-Lewin. He's completely redundant and pointless.
So would you start with Beto, or are you waiting for Broja now? What do you do?
Broja, because he's decent on the counter attack. I wouldn't bother with Calvert-Lewin. He's no good on the counter attack, and he's no good in the build.
And he's also going, isn't he? You might as well get rid of him in January.
Pointless. So I would be thinking, well, how can I impact these games? We're going to play more of a low to mid block, and we're going to have Ndai, McNeil, and Broja trying to break. As the 3, and then the rest of them have just got to basically defend for their lives and try and pick up some points.
Yeah, anyway, I suppose on a different day, McNeil could have hit the back of the net. We have seen those shots where they went wide today. They could have gone in, but could is not the right answer behind this. Steve-O, a name after my own sake, says clean sheet is basically all Dyche is interested in. So that is a reflection really on our ambitions, which are pretty low. I think that fans are getting on the back of Dyche in the background, and that could mean for a toxic atmosphere going forward. So thanks, Ryan, for joining us. We're going to wrap up very soon. Just a few more comments to go through, but do keep them rolling in because obviously people see them as well. And I'm sure there'll be more reaction from the rest of the team. If you've just got home and you've just mustered the chance to, maybe you've gone the chippy or something and you've switched on, we're fed up of the complacency and the mediocrity of Everton having to always go through these kind of patches where we have the openings to take on sides, get past them with 10 men and lift ourselves above the kind of relegation rivals. And yet again, here we are faced with a ridiculous run of fixtures that we only deserve, really. At some point, you got to play them, and December was never going to be kind to us. So before you wrap up, Baz, any kind of closing comments? Is there anything else that you want to say before we kind of wrap up?
Not really. I mean, it's a pretty standardized performance, really. There wasn't an awful lot to talk about. We somehow talked about for 45 minutes the same old stuff. I mean, the red card we didn't really touch into, but it's kind of irrelevant. He got sent off, and that was the result.
It was a VAR. I'm sure that people have seen it back, but it was a VAR recall. And once he goes
Yeah.
over to the monitor, you know he's getting sent off.
I think just on a wider note, it's a hard taking myself away from being the Everton fan for a second. How can you manage situations like that? Because he's gone in for the ball to you wouldn't want your Everton player not to go for the ball there. But do you expect him to just be a bit more mindful that he can't lunge in for it? I mean, it is a red card because he's kind of two-footed him, but he's one-footed him studs up high up. So it's
I mean,
it's
it's
a
a
tricky
definite
one.
red card. If it's anywhere else in the pitch, it's a red card. So you have to say maybe slightly unfortunate for the Brentford player, but doesn't really take the shine or change the result in any way, really, because if anything, it gave Brentford more to hold on to, and they didn't look like a side that were like clinging on. You know, at times they looked like they had more legs than us, even with 10 men. So I think, you know, territory's one thing. We're just a bit useless when we've got the ball. Let's face it.
Yeah, we need to go back to training this week. Forget the defensive stuff. We have a decent idea of how to defend. I'm sure with our first choice back line, we'll be okay generally. I think we need to look at this chance creation. We need to look at our crossing, practice crossing, corners, set pieces, free kicks. They're all wasted every time, every chance, every cross is overhit. I think that's if we can start to improve those situations, you create better chances. But until we do that, or we bring in players who can thread through balls and switch the play quicker and move the ball faster and tempo, until we have different players to do that, how can I see it changing? I can't. So we've got to work with what we've got, put the players in the right positions and get them, practicing it in training, which they're obviously not doing it.
And there's going to have to be some. He's going to have to change some things up because there's no way that we can possibly play the same players every single game throughout those December fixtures. For a start, some of them are going to be picking up. They're going to be chasing shadows. So he's going to have to change. But we don't really have that many changes to make.
No, the squad is really thin. You said that we've got other teams might get injuries, and there's a lot of matches and congestion. I don't think that ever suits Everton. We'll get injuries. We'll be playing like Coleman when he comes back or something, thrown in at right back or left back. That we'll be all over the shop, and other teams will be as well. But it will be a struggle. The only saving thing maybe is that we're playing all these big sides in a sort of run. Maybe that we adapt our mentality and our way of playing. We can prepare for that. And do that week in, week out. Whereas you play them like as an odd week, you've got to just change your whole style for a week. So maybe this will favour us, and we just treat it as a block, and we say these are going to be the tactics for these games. We'll vary it up slightly each week, but the baseline and the team that's going to start is going to be this team, and we work from there.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much, and thanks for everyone who's joined us on this frustrating rant that is Everton Football Club. Another 0-0, probably the last time we played Brentford at Goodison. We keep saying that because, quite frankly, what else can you talk about? All those shots that have gone wide and opportunities missed. Everton, yet again, breaking records with the possession for the season, I think, and the shots not good. And then they throw out a social media post to say everything's okay. Well, it's not. So we'll see, and we'll be the first to report on it here on Follow Everton with a match preview of Man United. And I'm sure that there'll be more to be said about this game and looking forward to December. And obviously, on a positive note, the stands are being released and there's more information coming through from our new stadium. But if you haven't got a team to play in there, it's going to be one depressing place to go to, despite having absolutely brilliant views of total crap. So from me, from Baz, from the team at Follow Everton, have a good weekend. And if you're watching other football, enjoy that. Otherwise, spend time as it makes you happy, because the Blues obviously are a bit of a sore subject right now. So from us, Follow Everton, up the toffees, and have a good night.